Have you ever noticed how you always return to the same point? Different faces, different seasons, same emptiness, same collapse. You promise to change, and for a while, it works. Then something pulls you back, invisible, familiar, almost comfortable in its cruelty. That pull is the Ouroboros within, the ancient serpent that devours its own tail, turning your life into an eternal return, not of evolution, but of repetition. Self-sabotage is not laziness. It's not weakness. It's the unconscious mind seeking balance in a distorted rhythm, a vibration trapped in its own echo. You think you're choosing freely, but every hesitation, every delay, every distraction follows a pattern, a rhythm so old that it no longer asks for permission. It just repeats. Pause. Breathe. Remember, the Ouroboros is not a myth. It's a psychological mechanism, a living symbol of your own frequency looping on itself. If this resonance moved something in you, stay. This is not another motivational video. It is a mirror, and mirrors are merciless. They show not what you pretend to be, but what you continue to repeat. Every loop begins with intention. You decide to move forward, to start the project, to leave the pattern, to become what you know you could be. But the moment the energy rises, something inside resists. A whisper says, "You'll fail again." A memory surfaces. "This didn't work last time." A vibration of fear disguised as logic. You stop. You procrastinate. You rationalize. And then you feel guilty for not doing. That guilt becomes proof of your limitation. The loop closes. It's a perfect system of self-devouring energy. You are both the serpent and the tail, the victim and the architect. Carl Jung called this an antiodromia, the moment when every extreme becomes its opposite. You strive for success, but your unconscious, fearing expansion, brings collapse. You seek freedom, but your shadow prefers the cage it already knows. So you live in repetition, the same emotion dressed in different circumstances, the same vibration wearing new masks. And this is where the invisible pain grows. The exhaustion not of failing, but of restarting. The exhaustion of carrying the same weight in new scenarios. The body feels it. Heavy chest, tight stomach, legs that refuse to move forward. You scroll, you distract yourself, you tell yourself that tomorrow will be different. But the pattern feeds on delay. Every postponement is nourishment for the Ouroboros. And while you fight symptoms, the root grows stronger, hidden, rhythmic, ancient. The illusion whispers, you just need more motivation. But motivation cannot fight vibration because motivation is mental and the loop is vibrational. You're not tired of trying. You are tired of oscillating between hope and collapse, discipline and escape, clarity and fog. This oscillation is not random. It is the law of rhythm operating unconsciously. Everything that rises must fall. Everything that contracts must expand. When you do not observe the rhythm, you become its instrument instead of its master. The Hermetic law of rhythm says, everything flows, out and in. Everything has its tides. All things rise and fall. Auto-sabotagism is that law out of tune, a frequency that cannot sustain your next level, collapsing itself to return to the familiar vibration, the home frequency of your unconscious. You are not failing. You are vibrating in the frequency of your last identity, and that identity cannot cross the threshold. Every time you repeat a loop, you are trying to stabilize yourself in a vibration that has already died. Change feels like death, because the old frequency is being dismantled. Every loop is a rhythm seeking harmony. You don't need to destroy the pattern. You need to reprogram its rhythm. This is the essence of Hermetic reprogramming. The Ouroboros only stops devouring itself when it remembers that the circle was never a prison. It was a mirror. The first map is waiting in the pinned portal. Tonight, don't run from your patterns. Observe them. Don't analyze your actions. Feel your pulse. The invisible rhythm behind every choice. When do you procrastinate? After which emotion? Which thought? You will notice the precision. Auto-sabotagism is not chaos. It is ritual. Same hour, same feeling, same vibration. That predictability is your key, because what is predictable can be reprogrammed. Don't try to fix it yet, just see it. Look the serpent in the eye, write it down. When this happens, I feel this, and then I do this. That single sentence is your Ouroboros map. The Hermeticist doesn't fight the serpent. He studies its rhythm until it reveals the doorway. You are not a failure repeating. You are energy looping, waiting to be observed. If you're still here, it's because this truth is yours. So begin tonight. Take 5 minutes before you sleep. Replay your day. Find one moment of self-sabotage. Just one. Don't justify it. Don't condemn it. Witness it. Write what came before it. Ask yourself, what vibration was I in? What emotion preceded the fall? Because the instant you see the loop, you are no longer completely inside it. Awareness is the first crack in the Ouroboros. This is not journaling. This is alchemy of observation. You are training your consciousness to step outside of automatic rhythm. This is the first step of the Hermetic Method. Not action, but awareness. You cannot change what you still vibrate with. You cannot break the loop if you are still feeding it. Write in the comments, I break the loop. This seals your initiation. The Ouroboros does not vanish, it transforms. It repeats until you learn the pattern, then it opens and becomes the symbol of eternity. What you observe, you liberate. You've crossed the first threshold. Tomorrow we begin the liberation, the transmutation of rhythm into consciousness. You've seen the serpent, now you'll learn to command its movement. You've crossed this portal. The next one is already open. You've seen the loop, you've named the serpent, but seeing is only the first cut. Awareness opens the wound, yet the infection still moves beneath. The Ouroboros lives not in your actions, it lives in your subconscious rhythm. You think you make choices, but your mind is a theater and the script was written long before you were aware of the stage. Every act of self-sabotage is a ritual of memory. A vibration recorded long ago that keeps replaying itself until it is finally rewritten. Your mind is not against you. It is loyal to the frequency you once called safety, even if that safety hurts. That's the paradox of the psyche. It prefers familiar pain to unfamiliar freedom, because freedom to the unconscious feels like death. If this resonance moved something in you, stay. The first map was observation. The second is confrontation. You must dare to look where the loop hides, not in your behavior, but in the emotional reward it gives you. Every sabotage hides a secret pleasure, the illusion of control, the comfort of knowing the ending, the relief of collapsing before the test begins. The human mind mistakes repetition for security, so it repeats, not because it wants to suffer, but because it fears uncertainty more than pain. And this is the invisible mechanism, the fear of expansion masked as failure. You fail not because you are incapable, but because your vibration has been programmed to equate expansion with danger. The body remembers every time you reached for more, and were met with rejection, ridicule, punishment, or emptiness. So now, the moment you begin to rise, your vibration tightens. It pulls you back toward what feels known, even if that known burns. Every procrastination, every relapse, every delay is a self-defense strategy of the old self. The part of you that says, if I don't try fully, I can't truly fail. That is the voice of the Ouroboros whispering protection while devouring your potential. But understand this, that voice is not evil. It is a guardian of the threshold. It repeats until you learn to hear its message. Pause, breathe deeply. Feel the contraction that appears when you imagine succeeding. The subtle discomfort in your body, that's the vibrational lock, the unconscious rhythm that keeps you orbiting around the same experience. You don't need to force it open. You need to observe its tempo, and then shift your resonance. The Hermeticists called this transmutation. Jung called it integration of the shadow. Modern science calls it neural reprogramming. They all describe the same law. Energy can never be destroyed, only redirected. Your sabotage is energy moving through the wrong channel. The goal is not to silence it, it's to reroute it. If you're still here, it's because this truth is yours. The law of rhythm explains why sabotage is cyclical. The law of mentalism reveals who commands the cycle. Everything is mind. Every vibration begins as a thought, and thought, repeated, becomes form. So if you think failure long enough, failure becomes rhythm. If you feel guilt long enough, guilt becomes gravity. But just as every thought becomes form, every form can be dissolved. That's the hidden grace of the Hermetic Method. Nothing is permanent, not even your loops. You can't stop a cycle from existing, but you can shift the axis it spins around. Awareness changes the center of gravity. Tonight, before you sleep, remember, every sabotage starts as a vibration. Catch it when it is still a whisper. When the thought says, "I'll do it later," feel the frequency beneath those words. It's never about time. It's about avoidance of tension. Sit with it. Don't obey, don't resist. Just breathe into it. Watch how the vibration dissolves when you refuse to feed it. The first map is waiting in the pinned portal. Inside it, you'll find the hermetic rhythm of reprogramming, the sequence of observation, transmutation, stabilization. Download it when you're ready to act, not react. The Ouroboros begins to loosen when you move from reaction to creation. Write in the comments, "I see the mechanism." This phrase is a declaration, because what you name, you reclaim. The serpent has no power over what you see with clarity. You cannot escape what you don't understand. But once you understand, you no longer need to escape. You can transform. The Hermeticist doesn't fight the subconscious, he educates it. He shows it a new rhythm until the old one no longer makes sense. So tonight, sit with the serpent. Let it show you where it hides. In your hesitation, in your scrolling, in your small daily betrayals. Look at each act not as weakness, but as a map. Every repetition is a message. The Ouroboros repeats until you decode it. And when you do, you'll notice something almost frightening. The mechanism was never external. It was always you, protecting yourself from the vastness of who you could be. The next video will reveal how to transmute that vibration, how to turn sabotage into energy of motion using the laws of rhythm and polarity. Don't stop here. The next step is not optional. It's inevitable, because the moment you see the mechanism, the energy starts to rise. You've crossed this portal. The next one is already open. You've seen the serpent. You've heard its whisper. Now you must learn its rhythm, because everything in existence, thought, breath, emotion, galaxies, obeys one silent law, the law of rhythm. Nothing escapes its pulse, not even your pain. Every rise meets a fall, every expansion a contraction. Every moment of clarity will invite another wave of confusion, not as punishment, but as balance. The cosmos itself breathes in polarity, and so does your psyche. When you resist the fall, you stretch the pendulum to the extreme, and when it returns, it hurts. You don't break free from rhythm by resisting it. You transcend it by observing it. When the mind understands that movement is natural, collapse stops being failure. It becomes phase. The Hermetic texts call this return to equilibrium. Jung called it psychic compensation. You feel weak not because you are broken, but because you are learning to synchronize with a higher frequency. Everything that collapses on time. Even your self-sabotage has timing. The fear, the hesitation, the distraction, all of them pulse like tides. The problem is not the rhythm, it's your unconsciousness of it. You think it's random, but it's ritual. You repeat your own pendulum because you don't see it swing. If this resonance moves something in you, stay. The true Hermetic work begins when you start listening to the rhythm instead of fighting it, when you learn to ride the wave instead of drowning in it. So pause for a second. Feel your breath. The inhale is rise, the exhale is fall. Between them there is a sacred stillness. That stillness is the point of power, the place between doing and undoing, noise and silence. The Hermeticist lives there, between the tides. Auto-sabotage happens when you identify with one extreme, when you think you must always expand, always ascend, always perform. But life is not linear. It moves in waves. Your nervous system, your emotions, your habits, all vibrate in cycles. You cannot sustain infinite ascent. You must descend to integrate. When you understand that, guilt dissolves. You no longer punish yourself for oscillating. You begin to see that every fall is a call to recenter. The Ouroboros doesn't only devour, it also regenerates. What looks like collapse is the preparation for a higher rhythm. If you're still here, it's because this truth is yours. You are being trained to feel rhythm, not to resist it. Because when you feel the pulse consciously, you command it. You can slow it, accelerate it, harmonize it. That's the secret of vibrational mastery. Not control, coherence. The first map is waiting in the pinned portal. Inside it lies the diagram of rhythm, the hermetic scale between tension and release. Study it after this. It will help you see your own frequency moving in time. Every emotion, every habit, every crisis follows this pendular dance. When you start recognizing the beat, you begin to anticipate it. And when you anticipate, you can redirect. Imagine a wave about to crash. If you freeze, it destroys you. If you flow with it, it carries you to shore. This is the essence of reprogramming, rhythm awareness. Every time you sense the inner fall coming, don't panic. Ground your breath. Anchor the new vibration. Whisper to yourself, I move with rhythm, not against it. Write in the comments, I move with rhythm. It's not just a phrase. It's a reprogramming command. Each word carries frequency. Each declaration shifts the pulse. Because here lies the truth. You cannot control what you deny, but you can master what you understand. The law of rhythm doesn't ask for your obedience. It invites your participation. It wants you to dance with it consciously. So the next time the wave of sabotage rises, when you feel the urge to procrastinate, when your mind whispers, later, stop. Close your eyes. Listen for the rhythm underneath. Feel its pulse in your breath, your heartbeat, your hands. It's the Ouroboros breathing, and the moment you hear it, it changes. Tonight before you sleep, observe your pendulum. Where are you now? Rising? Falling? Are you in the tension before the change or the calm after it? Name it. Awareness turns rhythm into power, because the law of rhythm has one hidden rule. Once you become conscious of its movement, you can shift to the higher octave. If this resonance still moves within you, the next portal is waiting. The serpent no longer devours, it dances, and soon you will learn to guide it, because the next step of the Hermetic Method is not to endure the rhythm, it is to transmute it. You've crossed this portal. The next one is already open. Every law is dual. Every energy has two poles. What burns also illuminates. What freezes also preserves. The same force that pulls you down can, when inverted, lift you. This is the Hermetic law of polarity, the key that turns sabotage into strength. If this resonance moved something in you, stay, because now you'll learn what the ancient masters knew, that opposites are not enemies. They are ends of the same current. When you say, I can't, what you really mean is, I am vibrating at the opposite pole of my potential. You are not weak. You are magnetized in reverse, and polarity can be shifted. The moment you understand that cold is only the absence of heat, failure becomes only the absence of alignment. You don't fight the cold, you introduce fire. You don't battle fear, you introduce movement. This is reprogramming through polarity, changing the current, not the struggle. The Ouroboros, once seen as a curse, now becomes your compass. Every time you feel yourself descending, sabotaging, collapsing, it's the signal of polarity inversion, energy moving back toward its comfort pole. Instead of despairing, smile. You've caught the current in motion, and what is in motion can be redirected. Here's how the Hermeticist does it. When the negative pole arises, procrastination, guilt, fear, he doesn't react. He observes. He identifies the pole. Then he activates its opposite by vibration, not by force. The opposite of fear is not courage, it's presence. The opposite of guilt is not pride, it's understanding. The opposite of sabotage is not discipline, It's coherence. Because when your vibration matches your intention, the loop dissolves. If this rhythm feels aligned, breathe once and anchor it. The moment you recognize polarity, you begin to rise to a higher octave, and the law of rhythm supports you. Every pendulum that swung to one side must swing back. All you need is to let it. Don't push, don't fight, guide. Tonight, when the old pattern reappears, and it will, don't panic. Take one breath, close your eyes, whisper, shift the pole. It's not affirmation, it's command, because words are carriers of frequency. Your tongue is the wand of polarity. When spoken with awareness, every phrase realigns the field. If you're still here, it's because this truth is yours. You're not watching a video, you're performing a ritual, a vibration transmission through sound and attention. Even now, as you read or listen, your subconscious is aligning frequencies. You're remembering what your energy always knew. Polarity is your tool, not your punishment. So here's the practice, the polar shift exercise. Identify the negative pole, the feeling or thought that keeps you trapped. Name its opposite, not conceptually but vibrationally. Example, fear, trust, resistance, flow, tension, breath. Speak both words aloud. Feel their vibration. Then inhale the first and exhale the second. You'll feel a subtle change, a magnetic inversion. Do this 3 times daily for 3 days. This repetition is not superstition, it's neurological entrainment. You are teaching your nervous system to choose higher polarity automatically. The first map is waiting in the pinned portal. Inside, you'll find the polar scale, the Hermetic diagram showing how every emotion has its higher octave. Study it when you can, print it if possible, because understanding polarity intellectually is one thing, embodying it is alchemy. Now you'll notice the Ouroboros behaves differently. It still circles but no longer devours. It becomes a ring of motion, energy rotating around your new center. When you master polarity, you stop oscillating unconsciously and start conducting rhythm consciously. You move from being the pendulum to being the axis. Right? I break the loop. Yes, again. Because repetition seals vibration. Each time you declare it, your subconscious recalibrates. From the pole of collapse to the pole of coherence. You are engraving a new magnetic truth into your field. I break the loop, not by force but by frequency. Soon you will no longer need to fight your patterns. You'll simply feel them approach, smile, and shift polarity, because that is the essence of mastery, stillness at the center of motion. And when that happens, when you feel the oscillation soften, when your inner temperature steadies, know that you've entered the 3rd day of the method, stabilization, the moment where new rhythm becomes permanent vibration, where habit becomes harmony. So prepare, rest, hydrate, observe. Tomorrow, we'll anchor what we've created. We'll turn vibration into stability, rhythm into constancy, because transformation without grounding burns itself away. You've crossed this portal. The next one is already open. There comes a moment when the philosophy must become flesh, when awareness must take form, rhythm must be trained, and polarity must be anchored. That is the purpose of the Hermetic Method, to turn wisdom into frequency, not another concept to be understood but a vibration to be lived. You've seen the loop, you've watched the pendulum swing, you've felt polarity shift in your breath. Now comes the discipline of embodiment, 3 days that reshape the circuitry of the mind, 3 days that prove that alchemy was never metaphor. It was biology enlightened. The method is ancient in principle, but exact in form. 3 phases, 3 movements, 3 flames. Each one reflects a cosmic law, mentalism, polaridad, ritmo. Together they form the ladder from unconscious repetition to conscious creation. Day 1, observation. The alchemist begins not with effort, but with silence. Observation is not passive. It is the most active form of presence. Today you will not fight your patterns. You will see them. Every hesitation, every deflection, Every act of small betrayal, watch it. Don't analyze, don't justify, don't drown in narrative. Just watch. Because what is seen begins to dissolve. What hides in the dark feeds on blindness. When you look directly, the pattern loses its authority. Every act of attention reclaims a fragment of energy once lost. Tonight, write only one thing. The moment you caught yourself inside the loop. Describe it like a scientist describing a phenomenon. No emotion, no judgment, only truth. This is not journaling. This is surgery. Day 2. Transmutation. Now that you can see the serpent, you must enter its furnace. Every energy that resists is energy condensed. Trapped vibration. Don't push it away. Heat it. Through awareness. Through breath. Through movement. The law is clear. What you resist persists. What you transmute liberates. When fear arises, name it. Then breathe until it changes temperature. When procrastination whispers, don't argue. Move 1 inch forward. Movement is transmutation. The psyche learns through rhythm, not through philosophy. Each act of small will melt the frozen charge of old emotion. At this stage, you may feel friction, exhaustion, sudden clarity, bursts of emotion. That is the inner metal reacting to the fire. Don't cool it. Let it burn until it shines. Transformation is not always light. Sometimes it's heat. Day 3. Stabilization. The most forgotten step, and the one that decides whether you evolve or repeat. Integration is not excitement. It is constancy. Today, do everything slowly. Speak slower. Walk slower. Breathe slower. Every gesture becomes a ritual of rhythm. The new vibration must not be rushed. It must be sealed. This is where you transform temporary consciousness into permanent frequency. Repeat what you've learned, but with reverence. Observation again. Transmutation again, but softer now. Rhythm turns understanding into identity. By the end of this day, you will notice small things. The thought that once triggered anxiety will pass through you like wind. The old impulse to escape will arrive but find no host. You won't need to resist, because the field has changed. If this resonance moved something in you, stay, because this is the proof that alchemy works, not in theory, but in the pulse of your own breath. The Hermetic Method is not about perfection. It's about vibration. What you vibrate, you become. If you're still here, it's because this truth is yours. You are no longer trying to escape the loop. You are learning to choreograph it. The Ouroboros that once devoured you now moves as your guardian, marking the perimeter of your awareness. Tonight, perform the ritual in silence. Sit upright. Breathe in through the nose. Exhale through the mouth. Slow and deep. On each exhale, whisper internally, I am the rhythm. Do this 3 times. That phrase will align your pulse to the cosmic pendulum. Every cell will remember what harmony feels like. You are no longer at war with your cycles. You are aligned with them. You are not escaping repetition. You are raising its frequency. This is the true Hermetic secret. Transformation is not escape. It's elevation. When you finish, remain still. Feel the quiet. That silence is the proof. It is the sound of energy returning to coherence. Write what echoed. It seals your initiation. Because when you name the vibration, you make it real. And when you share it, you anchor it deeper into the collective field that is waking with you. Tomorrow, everything will look the same, but it won't be. Because you are no longer oscillating unconsciously. You are choosing, you are directing. The Ouroboros, once a symbol of entrapment, now becomes the seal of mastery, the reminder that eternity is not endless time, but perfect rhythm. You've crossed this portal. The next one is already open, and in that next chamber you will discover the silence behind motion, the still point from which all creation begins. Integration is where initiation becomes identity, where what you practiced stops feeling like a technique and starts feeling like truth. You have observed. You have transmuted. You have stabilized. Now you must live the vibration you have reclaimed. The danger of awakening is always the same, believing that awareness alone is enough. But consciousness without integration becomes another illusion, a spiritual ego repeating the same loop with better vocabulary. Real transformation is rhythm embodied. It's when your presence changes the texture of reality around you, even in silence. You'll notice it first in small things, the pause before you react, the breath that replaces the urge to justify, the way time seems to slow down when you choose awareness over impulse. These are not coincidences. They are signs that your vibration has entered coherence. The mind still tries to sabotage, of course. It whispers in subtler ways now. It says, "You're doing well. You can relax your practice." Or it says, "This can't last. It's just a phase." These are echoes of the old rhythm trying to reinsert themselves into your new frequency. Do not fight them. Recognize them. Smile. Recognition is mastery. If this resonance moved something in you, stay, because this phase of the path is where most seekers turn back, when the light has returned, but the discipline wavers. Yet this is where the Ouroboros finally transforms. The serpent that once devoured its own tail becomes a halo of light around your consciousness. What was once collapse is now circulation. The Hermeticists called this the fixation of the volatile, when the spirit that once scattered itself through distraction now settles into order. It does not mean you will never fall again. It means you now fall consciously, and you rise faster, because rhythm no longer enslaves you. It teaches you. Every descent becomes initiation, every ascent a reminder. The secret of integration is gratitude, not gratitude as moral virtue, but as vibrational stabilizer. Gratitude grounds energy. It seals transformation into matter. Tonight, when you finish your practice, thank your old patterns. Yes, the ones that hurt. They were the teachers wearing the masks of your pain. Without them, there would be no frequency to reclaim. If you're still here, it's because this truth is yours. You've already proven it. Every moment you chose awareness over reaction, you shifted a lifetime of programming. You altered your timeline through vibration alone. You are the experiment and the result. The new rhythm will test you gently. It will send familiar scenarios your way. Same faces, same triggers, but watch closely. The vibration will be different. You'll feel the old impulse trying to rise, but you'll also feel space around it. That space is your mastery. It's the evidence that the fire is still alive inside you. You don't need to be perfect. You need to stay present. When you slip, return to the breath. When you forget, return to rhythm. When you fall, return to polarity. The method is not a staircase. It's a spiral. You revisit each step, but from higher ground. Write what echoed. It seals your initiation, because when you express the insight, you crystallize the vibration in words. Sound turned into structure. Every comment, every whisper of understanding strengthens the collective field that holds you now. And if doubt appears again, if the night feels heavy, if the silence becomes loud, remember, what you call regression is only the pendulum completing its swing. Every return prepares the next release. The Ouroboros never stops moving. It just changes the way it moves through you. The true Hermeticist doesn't seek peace outside of motion. He finds peace within it. That is the new frequency. Not static serenity, but harmonic movement. You no longer fight the tides. You are the tide. So tonight, before you close your eyes, speak one phrase into the dark. I am the rhythm that creates. Let it echo in your chest. Feel the pulse behind the words. That pulse is the vibration of the cosmos, mirrored in your bloodstream. You've crossed this portal. The next one is already open. And in that next chamber, you will meet the silence itself, the unmovable point at the center of all rhythm, where even the Ouroboros dissolves. There you will no longer need a method, because you will have become the principle. Everything you've lived through in this initiation, every insight, every breath, every tremor of awareness, has been preparing you for this silence. Because all transformation reaches a point where words no longer guide, they dissolve, and what remains is frequency, pure, stable, unnameable. You began this path trapped inside the serpent's circle, believing that you were devoured by your own repetition. You mistook motion for progress and effort for awakening. You thought you were broken because you kept returning to the same places, the same emotions, the same collapse. But the truth hidden beneath the repetition was never punishment. It was instruction. Every loop was an initiation in disguise. Every failure was a fragment of gold hidden inside the furnace. Every delay was a message. Stop fighting the rhythm. Learn to conduct it. Now you can feel it, can't you? That quiet pulse beneath your sternum. The subtle hum that was always there beneath the noise of anxiety and striving. That is not metaphor. It's rhythm. The law of rhythm. Breathing through you. Conscious now. Obedient to your awareness. You have seen the serpent. You have entered its fire. You have learned its language. And in that process, you stopped being its prey and became its keeper. The Ouroboros has opened. Its circle no longer devours itself. It expands, endlessly, outward. When you first met it, it was a symbol of confinement. Now it is the emblem of eternity, the infinite line curving upon itself, not to repeat but to create. The loop didn't need to end. It needed to evolve, and it did, through you. Do you understand what that means? That self-sabotage was never a flaw. It was the soul's last attempt to remind you of your own power. It kept you circling, not because you were weak, but because you were unfinished. And now, you are whole enough to move in spirals instead of circles. Every time you fall, you will fall higher. Every time you return, it will be to a wider orbit of awareness. This is what it means to awaken hermetically, not to escape duality, but to master its rhythm. The old self is gone now, not as destruction, but as integration. It still whispers sometimes, testing if you remember, but you don't need to silence it. You only need to listen with presence. The voice of doubt has become a compass, the pain, a metronome, the fear, a teacher. Everything that once worked against you now works through you. If this resonance moved something in you, stay, because the path does not end here. It expands. The hermetic spiral has no final step. It only deepens. The next video is not next. It is continuation. Every portal you cross reveals a subtler vibration of the same law. And if you've made it this far, you've proven something to yourself. You can endure awareness. You can hold silence without running. You can burn without retreating. You can create coherence where there was only chaos. That is mastery. That is hermetic strength. So now, close your eyes for a moment. Breathe slowly. Feel your body as a vessel, not of struggle, but of rhythm. Inhale the memory of everything you were. Exhale everything you've outgrown. Let the breath form a circle. Inhale, exhale. See the Ouroboros, not as a serpent now, but as light, a ring hovering around you, expanding, breathing, opening. You are not inside the loop anymore. You are the loop, but aware. Every choice you make from this point forward echoes through that circle, rewriting the pattern of your reality. Your thoughts are the current. Your attention is the magnet. Your emotion, the fire that shapes the form. And that is all the hermetic work ever was. To remember that creation begins where attention settles. Write what echoed. It seals your initiation. Because when you declare what has moved within you, you crystallize it. Energy turns to sound. Sound turns to structure. Structure becomes path. And as your words join others, the circle grows. The invisible brotherhood of seekers expands. We are many, hidden in plain sight, rebuilding rhythm in a world addicted to noise. Do not let the fire fade. Feed it with silence. Do not let awareness sleep. Keep it awake with ritual, not grand, but honest. Every breath conscious is a prayer. Every action aligned is an invocation. You do not need to prove what you've become. You only need to live it quietly, precisely, rhythmically. And when you wake tomorrow and the old world greets you again, the same lights, the same screens, the same pressures, you will feel the difference, not in what happens around you, but in how nothing around you can touch what's been reborn within. The Ouroboros opens, the rhythm stabilizes, and the spiral continues. If you stop now, the illusion wins. But if you keep going, if you follow the thread into the next chamber, the work deepens, the silence expands, and what began as practice becomes nature. You've crossed this portal. The next one is already open, and there, beyond repetition, beyond polarity, beyond rhythm itself, the serpent disappears and only light remains.